Before we go any further, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon, because without their help, none of this upgraded content that you be seeing would be possible. Over on the Patreon, you get exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming videos. You also get access to the Patreon only Discord server. Coming up soon, I'm going to be working on talking about other anime that I can't talk about here on YouTube, like say ReZero, Konosuba, and etc. I'm also going to start posting the scripts for video essays, and every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul. We also are going to open up the Patreon only Discord server to YouTube members at the $2 price tier, which also means that members will be seeing their name here alongside the patron. But with that being said, let's get back into today's video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, episode 282, and today starts the beginning of the Sasuke Retsuden anime adaptation into the Boruto anime. And based off of this episode, we can gather a few things. Not only are we getting Sasuke Retsuden, but we're going to be getting parts of Kakashi Retsuden added into the anime, as you saw with the scenes with Kakashi in this anime version of the story. And more than likely, we're going to be getting scenes from Naruto Retsuden. They're basically going to be doing a very abridged version of all 3 novels added in the anime format to tell this whole story of the chakra illness. Now, before we get into the review, I do want to say I've covered Kakashi Retsuden in full on the channel, as well as Sasuke Retsuden's novel in full, and I'm currently covering Naruto Retsuden. And you have the Sasuke Retsuden manga, which is going to be giving you the full version of the story that the anime is not showing. So if you're curious about things that the anime might be leaving out, you'll want to check those videos out. And I can tell you that there were changes made. So in particular, there was a timeline change, because the anime has all this stuff happening many years ago, which is why some people are going to be saying this is blank period content. That's actually not true. This stuff takes place after the Momoshiki arc, but before anything with Ao and Kar and all that stuff took place. The anime is just changing the timeline around. This is not the first time they've done this when they've adapted light novels. Naruto Shippuden is proof of that. So with that being said, let's back things up a little bit. So the episode opens up with Sasuke, and he's near the land of Redaku, and he's looking for the last remnants of Kar. So this is the outer members that might still be out there, but most importantly, he's looking for code. And as he hears one of the women talk about getting married and about how rings are custom in their homeland, Sasuke's like, oh, we must be near Redaku. And then that's where Sasuke has all these flashbacks. And so the beginning of the episode is in real time, where Sasuke's looking for code. So that's why this content right now is placed before the code arc, because they're using that as a bridge to it. However, everything else you see in the episode is a flashback. So where you have Kakashi, and Kakashi goes to speak to Prince Nanar, you have that scene coming from the Kakashi Retsuden novel. And in that scene there, Kakashi learns that Nanar can't read, and Kakashi is trying to find out more information about Hagoromo when Hagoromo had this chakra illness that Naruto has. And so Kakashi starts trying to win over the trust of Nanar by showing him how to read and write, and using that relationship to try and get closer to Queen Minari and to spy on the Prime Minister. That way he can try and find some of the stuff that Hagoromo might have left behind at the Capitol building. Meanwhile, you have Sasuke, and he learns about Naruto's chakra illness, and so Naruto leaves out the Hokage office, and that's actually a change from what you get in the Naruto Retsuden scene. So this scene here comes from Naruto Retsuden. However, when everyone learns about Naruto's illness, Kakashi's there, Sasuke's there, Sakura's there. Kakashi leaves because he's retired as Hokage, can do whatever he wants to. Naruto and Sasuke have a little bit of a dust up over this. Naruto actually ends up falling off of Minato's Hokage head. So you're getting a lot of stuff cut out of here. Sasuke and Naruto have a verbal spat, and you see this in the manga version of the story, where Sasuke and Naruto are outside the Hokage monument. Sasuke leaves to go to Redaku, Naruto screaming after him. So there are changes made to it. Now, the rest of the episode takes place where Sasuke's inside the prison, and you see a few things going on here. So the first thing that you see is that Sasuke is doing his monologues and explaining that, hey, in this prison, this is how things go. You're held in captivity. This used to be an institute where the Sage of Six Paths lived, with the astronomer here when he was looking for a cure to his illness. And when Sasuke gets introduced to his new cellmates, Gigi, Gano, and Pingila, the first thing that stands out is that Gigi's voice actor is exactly how I imagined him in my head when I was first reading. I think he does a good job of capturing Gigi's personality. The other thing that we see here is that there are some prisoners who decide to pick a fight with Sasuke. Now, you might be wondering, why would anybody dare pick a fight with a one-armed guy? Clearly, they know that at Sasuke. That's actually not the case. So Redaku is so far away that it takes someone like Kakashi and Sasuke moving at full speed over 30 days in order to even reach it. So the exploits of Sasuke Uchiha, they aren't really known here, which is why when Sasuke uses the Sharingan in this episode, Zanzuru does not know that that's Sasuke Uchiha. So there's a lot of stuff that's cut out the anime version of the story, but that's why those prisoners pick the fight with Sasuke, because they don't know any better. And so we get a very quick scene where one of the guys ends up throwing a fork at Sasuke. Sasuke catches it point blank range right at the face. Sasuke then takes the fork and begins to start eating his food. The prisoners try and jump him. Sasuke kicks one of them across the room face first into the wall. Sasuke then slams another one across the other side of the room with a over the shoulder throw. Then Sasuke throws his fork at the guy like it's a kunai and hits him just above the thigh, but manages to avoid any vital spots. And so when that happens, that ultimately leads to guards coming down. They get ready to pick a fight with Sasuke. Sasuke glares at him. The guards back off. Zanzuru shows up, and when Zanzuru begins to start talking to Sasuke, he says like, hey, don't get too out of pocket here. You might be new, but there's a way that we do things, but because you're still new here, just try to keep your foot in line. And what ends up happening is while all this is going on, one of the prisoners tries to actually leave. And so that seems a little different from the manga version of events, but this should be closer to the light novel version if I remember that part correctly. So essentially the guy ends up leaving, and we get this very controversial scene that a lot of people, when I began covering the novel 3 years ago, it's like, why is there a dinosaur in this story? Why are there dinosaurs in the Naruto world? Dinosaurs don't exist here. And we got the same controversy when chapter 1 of the manga came out. So I'm going to explain the same thing to you who might just be getting into the story from the anime version of events that I did to the people when we were talking about the novel. And now that we're currently talking about the manga, dinosaurs, or dragon beasts as what they call them in the anime, they exist in the Naruto world. They're extinct. If you read Naruto's manga, you actually see the skeletons of one of those dinosaurs, and you actually see Sasuke in one of his flashbacks playing with the toy dinosaur. So they've always existed. However, here's the thing. Obviously, there's something different about Meno, and what ends up happening is Meno ends up eating one of the prisoners, and it's because he didn't have on that red cloth, which tells Meno not to attack anybody. And so you see a very censored version because it's the broadcast version. When you get the Blu-ray for this, more than likely the Blu-ray is going to be uncensored, and thank God for that, because of YouTube's new changes. I can't even show blood on the screen right now, so if I show any type of blood, videos age restricted. You guys don't see it unless you're logged into YouTube and you're over 18. Don't want to deal with that. However, here's the thing. Meno eats the prisoner, and all the other prisoners come out and they see this, and that's when we learn this information. We see Sasuke, he's doing a lot of back-breaking labor while everyone else is getting super exhausted with those pickaxes, and they're chipping away at all the rocks for an unknown reason, which I don't want to say because that gets into spoilers. Sasuke is just swinging along with one arm like it's nothing, like an absolute shad. And so after the labor is over, Sasuke goes back into his cell. He sees his cellmates, and you get a little bit of a disservice here. So when Sasuke agrees to start gambling with them, when he suddenly pulls out a gemstone, I've seen some comments online where people think that Sasuke used some type of genjutsu or something. That wasn't the case. Sasuke actually uses earth release here. The manga does a good job of showing you that, and in the light novel it's directly said that he uses earth release. So that's how Sasuke made that gemstone out of that pebble that he found in his cell. He just used earth release in order to make a stone. Now the next thing that you see is that when Sasuke begins gambling, he actually uses wind release. Now for those of you guys who might be wondering, why does Sasuke have 2 new chakra natures? It's because Sasuke, like Naruto in Boruto, has all 5 changes in chakra nature. And so what we end up seeing is that Sasuke has used some of his chakra natures here in this episode. Sasuke wins his gambling, and so he tells his cellmate Pangela, hey, I need you to look out for me. I'm gonna go out and just walk around for a bit. Sasuke's taking the opportunity to move around at night in order to try and gather intel, because there has to be something here in this astronomy institute that has leftover writing from the Sage of Six Paths. And so Sasuke ends up confronting Meno, and we get a scene where Meno begins to charge forward at Sasuke. Sasuke tries to put him under genjutsu, and we have yet another controversial scene where people are like, why didn't genjutsu work on this dinosaur dragon beast? And I don't want to say again, because it gets into spoilers, that at this pace that the anime is doing, you're gonna find out in about 4 weeks, but there's a reason why the genjutsu didn't work. Sasuke gets into that fight with Meno. Sasuke ends up doing a lot more damage, and I like how the anime conveyed it, they actually conveyed it a little better than what you had in the manga version of the story, where in the manga version you see Sasuke doing damage, he's cutting Meno up. However, the anime actually picked up a few things better than the manga did that are closer to the light novel. So in the light novel, you really got this sense like Sasuke was leaving behind very visible, extreme notices that there was a fight. In particular, the claw marks all over the walls. So I did like seeing that right there. That was a very nice touch. Sasuke ends up retrieving a kunai through one of his summoning scrolls, so he was able to sneak in there, and Sasuke begins just cutting up Meno. I thought that was very well done. There are a couple of sequences in this episode that are well animated. The prison fight was well animated, and this fight here with Meno was well done. Now, the other thing I'll say too is that after Sasuke cuts up Meno and Meno begins walking off, that's when Sasuke the next day is looking out the window. He sees Meno and he's like, how is he still alive? Are there multiple versions of Meno? Again, I don't want to say here because that will be a spoiler and that's a huge plot point, so I'm not going to get into it. However, the thing on is that Sasuke has a few different theories running through his head. He thinks that Meno might be a summoning animal. However, the thing that he comes to the conclusion of is if it's a summoning animal and it's constantly going around 24/7, Zansuro would have needed to have enormous chakra reserves, and he doesn't seem like anything special to the naked eye. And what you see here is that Zansuro ends up coming towards Sasuke and confronting him. Sasuke tries to put him under genjutsu because he's thinking like, yo, I'm just gonna use my Sharingan, I am going to interrogate this guy, I'll get some answers and I'll be on my merry way. That's not what happens because Zansuro has a glass eye, and I like this because it just shows Sasuke that here in Redaku he can't do things exactly like how he would do them in the Land of Fire. There's a few things that again would be spoilers. I will just tell you on the outset as you're going into this story that this story here is the very embodiment of what part 1 Naruto says repeatedly, which is that a ninja must always learn to see past deception. So the things that you are seeing are not actually the things that you are seeing, and I would tell you to pay very close attention because a lot of the people that are keeping up with the manga reviews have fallen into a trap, and I get the feeling that people that are watching the anime are gonna fall into that trap as well. Pay very close attention. What you see is not what you actually see. Now, the other thing that this episode does is that it gives you a little bit of insight into Kakashi as his mission, because you see Prince Nanar talking to Queen Minari and the Prime Minister. We actually see those designs drawn out, so that was kind of cool. Like I did in my videos for Hokage Retsuden, I had the Prime Minister with the goatee because that's how I envisioned him, so I did like seeing that bit. Kakashi dressed up like one of the maids, and Kakashi snuck into the library, and Kakashi finds a book titled The Book of Six Paths. So there's a little bit here. Again, they're abridging the first 2 novels together in this episode. They're likely going to continue it, so you're likely going to see that big battle that a lot of people who don't know any better call clickbait when I covered it on the channel, where they say Kakashi never fought 300 people. What are you talking about? You're likely going to see that scene in the anime now. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. So my episode question to you guys is, how do you guys feel about this being not only an abridged version of Sasuke Retsuden's story, but seemingly also going to be an abridged version of Kakashi Retsuden and Naruto Retsuden at the same time? So basically 3 novels having key points of their stories told over 5 or 6 episodes. Are you okay with that, or should they have taken the opportunity to do full adaptations of all of these? While you think that over, click here to watch my latest KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN video, or click here to watch the Sasuke Retsuden playlist if you want to learn more about the events of what happens during this story.